Manny had one of the most annoying neighbors in the world. Justin was trying to be a big shot YouTube star and often did wild and crazy stunts for views. Manny had seen Justin attempt stupid things like the cinnamon challenge or him laying flat on the hood of his car as it slowly crept down the driveway unmanned. He was usually screaming things like epic win, epic fail, or epic maintenance of the status quo. Manny was getting to the point he just wanted this guy to get whatever YouTube fame he could get and just move on. Then the day came that Manny would live in slight relief. Justin decided to go on a trip for a few weeks and asked Manny if he could check his mail. Of course, Manny was glad not to hear him scream, epic, anything for a few weeks and was more happy to help out. The weeks went by and nothing too exciting came for Justin until one day Manny saw a cardboard box on Justin's doorstep that said, "Return to sender," in big red letters. Manny knew he should keep the box until Justin returned, but didn't anticipate how heavy the thing would be. He tried his best to lug the box over to his house without dropping it, but his garage floor was finicky, so the inevitable happened. As the garage door finally opened on the third try, Manny dropped the box and heard a slight crack on the inside. Manny cursed under his breath and hoped he could blame the postage people for being clumsy for whatever broke inside. He left the box in his garage and didn't pay it any mind. That is, until he started to notice a weird smell coming from the garage. As Manny investigated what smelled like rotting meat, he could tell the only thing that could have produced that terrible smell was the mysterious box his neighbor had gotten. He figured because Justin was so weird, he probably got one of those meat in a box subscriptions. Why he didn't warn Manny, he had no clue. He was an odd guy. Then, Manny covered his nose with a pair of scissors in hand to cut it open and find out what in the world was that terrible smell. He noticed the bottom of the box was also soggy, so there was no way he'd be able to move it either. Crap. Well, he was in for a rude awakening once he opened the box and the smell hit him like a slap in the face. He smelled waves of pee, sweat, poop, and just straight up rotting or decaying meat. The smell overwhelmed him so much that he had to force down puke that was threatening to come up. It took him a few tries, change of clothes, and air fresheners, although the smell still stayed in his nostrils, to finally muster up the courage to look at what was inside the box. He couldn't believe his eyes when he saw not meat from a cow or a pig, but the decaying corpse of his crazy neighbor Justin. After calling the cops and a few interrogating questions from the police, Manny finally learned why in the world his neighbor was in a box and how he might have died. The cops showed Manny footage from a vlogging camera Justin had with him inside the box. They only showed him the footage once, but the images haunted Manny for years. The footage showed that Justin had planned to ship himself cross-country and wanted to share what this weird experience would be like for him. He had everything he needed in the box: pee bottles, food, a pillow, and even a few flashlights. One of his friends was the one who closed the lid and shipped him off to God knows where, and as the footage continued, it was just small updates of what he could hear and feel going on around him. However, the last piece of footage made a cold chill go down Manny's spine. In the last clip, Justin was in the box per usual, but it had toppled over and everyone could hear a loud snap of his neck twisted in an inhumanely way. The camera kept recording Justin's lifeless face, probably until the memory card was too full or the battery died. The last sounds everyone heard in that clip was the sound of someone's screeching garage door finally opening. William was entirely in the zone, and Harry saw that to the side were comments made by his friends and other people on this public server. Harry decided he'd tell his son another one of his cautionary, scary tales. "Son, we need to have a chat about internet safety." William's eyes still glued to the screen. "Son, can you stop your game for a minute?" With a sigh, William exited the game and closed his laptop. He looked at his dad with a tired expression. "Dad, is this going to be another cheesy, scary story?" "What?" Harry said with a mocking, hurt tone. "I thought you liked my cautionary tales." Harry himself had always grown up with scary tales about children encountering witches, ghosts, werewolves, and trolls, and it was because for many generations in this family, the parents used these scary stories to reinforce morals and teach lessons about safety. His son scrunched his nose at him. They were fine when I was 6, but now that I'm getting older, they don't scare me anymore. They seem silly. If you're going to tell a story about the internet, can you make it scary? Harry squinted at him, not sure he could handle a scary story. Dad, I'm 10 and I can handle it. After more prodding from William, Harry decided he'd tell him the story of Colby and his friend he met online, Helper 23. Colby went online and joined several children's websites. After a while, he started talking to other kids in-game and on the message boards. He made friends with another 10-year-old boy named Helper 23. They liked the same video games and shows. They laughed at each other's jokes. They explored new games together. After several months of friendship, Colby gave Helper 23 6 diamonds in a game they were playing. The gift was a very generous gift. Colby's birthday was coming up, and Helper 23 wanted to send him a cool present in real life. Colby figured it wouldn't hurt to give Helper 23 his home address, as long as he promised not to tell it to any strangers or grown-ups. Helper 23 swore he wouldn't tell anyone else, not even his parents, and set about mailing the package. Harry paused and noticed, despite William acting like a grown-up a few minutes before, he was glued into the story like he was 6 years old all over again. "Do you think that was a good idea?" Harry asked William. William, of course, shouted, "No," and Harry chuckled as he continued the story. Well, neither did Colby. Colby felt guilty about giving away his home address, and his guilt began to grow and grow. By the time he put on his pajamas the next night, his guilt and fear were larger than anything else in his life. He resolved to admit the truth to his parents. The punishment would be steep, but it was worth it to have a clear conscience. He squirmed in his bed as if he waited for his parents to tuck him in. William was on the edge of his seat now. Harry continued the story, and this is where things took a dark turn. The rest of the story finished with Colby beginning to hear the familiar noises of his baby brother sleeping, the washing machine running, and a tree branch scraping against the brick of his house. That's when he heard one strange sound that he couldn't quite understand what was off about. He heard footsteps and, assuming it was his dad, called out to him. His father's footsteps stopped at the door, and he peeked his head through Colby's door. Colby immediately noticed something was off about his dad's voice and also the way his mouth was moving. Colby asked if his dad was okay, but his dad, still, let out a strange uh-huh to him, questioning. He wondered if his mom was okay, asked for her. Instantly, she peeked her head from around the door, too. "Here I am," she said, but her voice was an unnatural falsetto like a man was trying to imitate a woman. "Were you about to tell us that you gave our home address to Helper 23? She asked. "You shouldn't have done that. We told you never to give out personal information on the internet." "He wasn't a kid. He just pretended to be one. Do you know what he did? He came to our house, broke in, and murdered both of us, just so he could spend some time with you." Suddenly, a fat man in a wet jacket came out from behind Colby's doorway with his parents' severed heads. Colby was terrified as the man revealed his knife and started advancing towards him, torturing the poor boy. When the boy was near death, the large man finally heard Colby's baby brother crying in the next room. Figuring he could use another victim, the large man went into the baby's room, ready to make another kill. However, the man picked up the baby calmed down and smiled at him, warming his heart a bit. He wiped his bloody hands on the blanket so he could stroke the baby's cheek. "Hey there, sweet little guy." The beautiful rage of sadism melted into something warmer and softer. He walked out of the nursery, took the babies home, named him William, and raised him as his very own. When Harry finished his story, his son looked at him wide-eyed in horror. "But Dad, my name's William," his son said through short breaths. "Of course it is, son," Harry said with a classic dad wink and tossed his son's hair. William ran upstairs to his bedroom, sobbing while his dad smiled, believing deep down his son enjoyed the story. One night, John's little girl, Guinea, was picking out a book for John to read before she went to bed. She found a plain red book with gold letters that read, "The Tale of Roly-Poly," in her collection, which was odd to John because he'd never seen the book before. However, he just shrugged it off as maybe the original owners had left it behind since they'd only moved to the neighborhood about a month ago. Guinea was ready, snuggled up in her bed, ready to hear the tale of Roly-Poly. Are you sure you want this one, Pumpkin? Guinea yawned. Yes, Daddy. John shrugged and began to read. There were two boys, two children like you. One was called Jack, the other was Hugh. The boys sat in their room, for there was nothing to do. They were so bored, a common boogadoo. So far the book read and had simple illustrations like any children's book. John continued. They thought and they thought, they huffed and they puffed, until Hugh said, Phew, enough is enough. Let's play a game. We'll upend this loose end. I know, said Jack. I'll call on my friend. At this point, John was ready for Guinea to pass out. Whoever wrote this book needed to take some rhyming cues from Dr. Seuss. Jack took the book and said the words written down. Come out, you silly old clown, with a wilsh and a whoosh and fizzle and pop. Roly-poly arrived with a great big plop. The next page showed an enormous clown-like figure who made the two boys next to him look like ants. The clown looked like your classic pantomime clown with a ruffed color like makeup and bright red lips. I've come to play, said the clown. How do? You, said Hugh. Oh dear, holy moly, don't be scared, declared Jack. It's just roly-poly. What shall we do? Said Hugh, all aflutter, as he pulled out his toys from the bedroom clutter. There were many games of various names, all wires and megawatts, a singing machine, a trampoline. There are even two robots. Oh no, said the clown. This will not do. Let's play some real games. Ditch this techno voodoo. Come with me and you'll see my home is quite grand. You'll have all that you need in topsy-turvy land. The two boys nodded, their hearts filled with glee. They took the clown's hand and counted 3 Mississippi. Hugh and Jack closed their eyes as the world twirled and twirled. They whooped with joy as a new land was unfurled. The clown's home was quite splendid, full of candies and treats. The fun never ended, no parents, no chores, no bedtimes or rules, no horrible homework from boring old school. The boys played and all three were glad until one fateful day when the clown became sad. What's wrong, Roly-Poly? Is there something we can do? The boys asked and asked, but their worries still grew. The clown mumbled, Oh dear, my apologies, most humbled. I'm just very hungry, as his large tummy rumbled. Would you like chocolate or chips or gooey cream cake? We have hot dogs and ice cream in every milkshake. But the clown shook his head, for his belly did ache. Then he grabbed little Hugh, a fine meal you will make. John was afraid of what happened next and quickly shut the book. He figured it was time to call it a night, despite Guinea wanting to know what happened to the little boy. He told her he'd tell her about it tomorrow. He left Guinea to sleep with a kiss on the forehead and turned out the light. His curiosity got the better of him and he continued to read the book downstairs. The image he saw was so gruesome he was glad he didn't finish it with Guinea. The clown held one of the boys above his head and the illustrations showed him tearing away at the boy's flesh with blood trickling down his already red lips. The boy's face was even more terrifying, showing actual anguish and pain. John continued reading. Roly-Poly grabbed the boy and held him aloft. He took a big bite. Sweet Hugh was soft. He gnashed and he gnawed. He chewed and he slurped. And when nothing was left, the clown loudly burped. He looked around. There was no Jack to be found. The boy had run. The chase had begun. Jack ducked and he darted. He ran and he ran. Roly-Poly just chuckled. Come back here, young man. This place is large, indeed. It does sprawl. There is no way out, no way at all. The clown was quite right, for try as he might, Jack rushed to escape, but there was no exit in sight. The boy grew tired. His breath became weary. Roly-Poly caught up, sounding quite cheery. You're tougher than most, you. I will cook. And he hung the boy up on an old meat hook. The child screamed, and he shouted, You great fat liar. The clown licked his lips as he stoked the big fire. The clown was so happy. This sweat meat was a treat. Hail to the chef, bon appetit. John couldn't believe what he'd just read. This book looked like an ordinary children's book for God's sake, but the amount of horror in it was something no child could see. John was just thankful he stopped reading to Guinea when he did and decided to get rid of the book immediately. After having a nice drink, he threw the book in the trash and went straight to bed. The next morning, everything seemed normal to John. He brewed his coffee, picked up the morning paper, and prepared to sit down for a lazy Sunday. That was, until he read the headline of the newspaper: Fifth Anniversary of Local Boy's Disappearance. Hundreds have taken part in a remembrance rally to mark the 5th anniversary of the disappearance of brothers Hugh and Jack Healy. The brothers, aged 8 and 6, were abducted from their home on January 7th, 2012. Police have issued a fresh appeal for information this weekend. Story continued on page 3. John ran outside and removed the cover of the trash can. Perhaps whoever wrote the book knew something about the boy's disappearance. At the very least, he needed to report this sick material to the police. His stomach lurched as he regarded the contents of the can. The book was gone. A panic rose deep in John's chest as he dashed upstairs to his daughter's bedroom. A single piece of paper lay on the crumpled sheets of her empty bed, and they read, Guinea picked a good book, a true tale to excite, but Dad did not like it. He thought it was trite. He stopped the story at the moment of glory. Oh no, not for you, this part is unfit. The clown did not like that, not one little bit. So Roly-Poly told Guinea, who was ever so skinny, let's have some bun, we'll show that old ninny. And now Guinea plays in the land topsy-turvy, full of sugar and spice and all things that are girly. While the princess holds court in dresses of Satan, the clown simply smiles. She'll do. She'll fatten. A week later, Guinea was still missing. John showed the paper to the cops, but they had no idea what to make of it either. All John knew is that he could tell anyone to never open the tale of Roly-Poly. A child's life could depend on it.